What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down the best and worst performances of all the rookies in NFL week number 4. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know how to use YouTube. We're going to be doing this every single week. We've been doing this every single week, and we're going to continue doing this every single week of the regular season and even potentially into the postseason. But let's get on into it. Of course, we're going to go into the stars, then the winners, then the dud, and then the losers. And of course, I actually have tracked every single rookie's performance. I have it on my own sheet. And, it's going to be pretty much the top 14 versus the bottom 11. So keep that in mind. So, starting out, I got someone in my throat already. God damn. But starting off with the number one star of the week. And yes, it's not in a particular order. Jayden Daniels is back. And I mean, back-to-back weeks with very, very solid performances. 26 of 30 for 233 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. My big issue is 0 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. However, this is versus a team in Arizona that I personally thought, they would have gotten the better end of this deal, and Washington ended up winning there. Of course, 8 carries, 47 yards, and a touchdown as well. And that's what solidified him into staying on here. It was basically based on the fact that he was here last week. I love the fact that he maintained his momentum and still had a really good performance back-to-back weeks. Dom Pooney is next. Someone who I didn't fully believe in as a tackle there at Kansas. He's flourished here as a guard. 88 pass block grade, 0 pressures allowed. And what was the real kicker here and why he's the star of the week is because he ended up being even better than Trent Williams in terms of his grade. Does that mean he's better than Trent Williams? No. But it's still worth giving a notable tip of my cap for his performance this past week. Then we go into T'Vondre Sweat. 91 defensive grade, second highest on the team at 3 defensive stops. And we'll be talking about one of his teammates soon as well. But I always loved T'Vondre Sweat. Not a fan of liars personally, and based on the information that came out with him, saying I'm done partying. Then he got, I think, a DUI. There was a lot of unrest in terms of how much you can rely on this player actually being a quality, a guy for the locker room. And he's flipped those narratives on their head. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, he's just as fun to watch, if not more fun to watch in the NFL than he was at Texas. And that's very hard to do. So fantastic performance from him. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling to see him this good because I didn't even see the value in him. And I was someone who was higher on him than the majority of people. So, again, 91 defensive grade, 3 stops. That is insane because he's been doing this week after week after week. Malik Neighbors is next. 12 catches on 15 targets, 115 yards. I mean, it's, again, another performance where he is the only real thing working in that offense, in my opinion. So, it's just somebody who needs to continue being on here every single week. He is going back to back to back to back to back, being one of the best players, if not the best player for his draft class in the entire league. So shout out to Malik Neighbors there. But going on to the rest of the squad, we got Max Melton starting out the group here. 87 defensive grade, 2 defensive stops, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 8 yards. Overall, clinic game from him, very consistent. Again, 87 defensive grade is based on a well-balance of traits in terms of run defense. Obviously, those 2 stops come in there, as well as pass defense. Those 2 targets, sure, there were 2 balls that were caught, but I can guarantee you there were a lot of other reps where he ended up being a lot more locked down. He was fantastic, and got to give a shout-out to Garrett Williams as well, another one of my guys from the year before. But Max Melton was a top 32 player on my board, if I'm not mistaken, so the fact that he's ended up doing so well makes me very, very happy for you guys. Roger Rosengarten is next. He's had some struggles here and there, ended up not playing because Macari ended up starting over him. And then he comes back and now has an 81 pass blocking grade and 0 pressures. Fantastic job. Rogers is one of those players I really liked in the pre-draft process. Thought he needed a little bit of time to develop, and he's doing better than I even would have given him credit. Again, this is not in a specific order. It's literally just what I ended up putting. It's just a randomized order. But continuing on, you got Nate Wiggins as well. 80 defensive grade, a defensive stop, 2 targets, 1 reception, 5 yards, and a pass breakup. I mean, after coming off a week where he did end up being on the losers list because he did end up being kind of exposed by CeeDee Lamb, I thought that this was an amazing bounce back. And of course, it's okay to struggle versus CeeDee Lamb as long as you bounce back, and that's exactly what he did. Fantastic job by Nate Wiggins. Brian Thomas Jr. featured below my face here. 9 targets, 6 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown. and he is the focal point of the offense for Derek Stingley as well as for Kamari Lassiter. So he was able to do that with the spotlight on him the whole time. Fantastic job by Brian Thomas. Xavier Worthy, one of the guys who I almost didn't include on this list. However, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown with, unfortunately, friend of the show, Rashee Rice, not going to be on the team. Well, he'll be on the team, but injured for a significant period of time. He needed to step up, and that's exactly what he did. Continuing on, we got Ladd McConkey here. So back-to-back receivers. And these guys were top 33, top 34 selections. So gotta love that these high picks are ending up paying off. 7 targets, 5 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown. All the rookies are producing this week. I love to see it. Ladd McConkey, fantastic player. I'm not really friend of the show, but we ended up taking some pictures with him over in Mobile. Got to meet the guy. Really chill dude. Pick number 12. Pick number 12 is line number 12 for me. The next guy, Jesus, is going to be Braden Fisk. Braden Fisk, fantastic performance, 90 defensive grade. Easily could have been one of the stars of the week. 2 pressures and 4 defensive stops. Real clinic right there. Again, if I had to rank him, he would have been the 5th best guy. He probably would have been better than Jaden Daniels, but again, I like to reward guys who are keeping up their momentum. And at the end of the day, these guys are still the stars of the stars, right? Like there's a much bigger list of winners than this. However, these are the guys who are the most notable. But continuing on, we got Tali Fuaga, another guy who we obviously loved. He was my guy at the start of the year last year, and he became better than I even expected. But 1 pressure allowed, 78 pass blocking grade. But the best part is, similar to Dom Pooney, top of the team. So no one else blocked better than he did. That's awesome. Big shout out to Tali Fuaga for being really damn effective, because there were some concerns as to whether he'd actually be able to hold up a tackle. But at the end of the day, he's doing a fantastic job. Then one of my favorite players, you guys know this was my guy as well, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., cornerback out of Louisville. 82 defensive grade, 3 defensive stops, 5 targets, 3 receptions, and 9 yards. Very valiant performance. Someone who definitely needs to get all the credit in the world. He is an absolute monster. He was a top 50 player for me, and I'm pretty proud of that. I pretty much stood on that, and I think that he was one of the best picks in the entire draft. Then you got Brandon Coleman, final guy in the winners. 0 pressures allowed, 86 pass blocking grade, and he too led his team in pass blocking efficiency. Now, there wasn't very much pressure allowed from Arizona, and granted, it was against Arizona. However, I'll give credit where credit's due. He had a lot of really poor performances this year, and then he finally broke out and had an unbelievable one. For me, I saw potential in Brandon Coleman as a left tackle. I had him, I think, around that 100 to 150 mark, and I just thought he needed more time to develop. I saw the potential there. I did not think it was going to be this early before he had a game like this. So shout out to him. Again, had some struggles earlier on, but at the end of the day, he ended up doing a damn good job. Then we're going to talk about the stock down guys, and starting out with our dud of the week, Olu Fashanu. The problem is they're putting this guy in the right tackle position. He's already raw as it is, and then you're putting him in a pretty tough position. The Broncos edge rushers have actually been pretty damn consistent in terms of pressure, whether it's Cooper, I'm forgetting the kid from Boston College from many years ago, but he's also doing a really good job in terms of pressure generation. And, he's showing the fact he needs more time to develop. And Olu Fashanu, I think he'll be the future at left tackle. I don't know. I mean, I understand why they're using him at right, because they don't really have much better of an option. Might as well just let this guy get thrown into the fire and learn from experience. But, definitely showing a bit more of a learning curve. Hopefully he has a Brandon Coleman type of arc to where, maybe it all clicks. But 32 pass blocking grade, 5 pressures is not going to cut it. Then for the rest of the league, the rest of the stock down guys, Ray Davis, 7 carries, 11 yards, 1 missed tackle forced. It's not atrocious, because again, you still got a missed tackle forced, but not being able to get more than, I like roughly that 15 to 20% missed tackle force range is acceptable to me. But the big kicker was the fact that it was less than 2 yards per carry. And I think Ray Davis is a fine player. Again, this is just based on their performances this past week. Zach Zinter finally came to the fold, but not in the best way possible. He allowed 3 pressures and a 27 pass blocking grade. He almost was my dud of the week, but since it was, I believe, his first game this year, I gave him a little bit of slack. Pick number, damn, dude, you guys know that I'm already in mock draft mode. Tyler Guyton is next. 3 pressures allowed, 33 pass blocking grade. He flashed early on, and I'm like, oh, shit, okay, he's better than I thought. He has not been better than what I thought early on, so that's okay. The thing is, he was never supposed to be an instant shoe-in at left tackle and be like a super stud. And I do think he'll eventually have one of those Brandon Coleman weeks in the near weeks and end up being a lot better. But, it's okay. It's okay. He needs a little bit of time to develop, and this is a good experience for him. Blake Fisher is next, another guy who I can possibly thought about putting as my dud of the week. 14 reps, 2 pressures, 31 pass blocking grade. I don't understand why you're moving right tackles to left. It rarely works, but, this past draft, we've seen some position switches that have worked, but we've also seen the opposite, where I think you should just really try to keep Blake comfortable at right tackle, but we'll leave it there. Just not a really good performance again. 1 out of every 7 reps you play, you allow pressure. Not really super high in terms of my approval for that. Then we got Carson Steele, 2 carries, 6 yards, and a fumble. It's 2 carries for 6 yards and a fumble. I think it's at 2 receptions for 6 yards. I'm tripping. Carson Steele, bottom line, very inefficient. Just not necessarily the type of guy that you're going to be looking for your starting running back down the line. There's a reason you brought in Kareem Hunt. Then you got Bo Limmer, center out of Arkansas, actually. Then he had 2 pressures allowed, 31 pass blocking grade. He's been having some struggles. He was a 6th-round pick. Give him some time. The fact is, he's playing better than what you could probably imagine for a 6th-round pick. But Layden Robinson, this was the actual one I was debating putting as the worst performance this week. 7 pressures allowed. I love Layden. I thought it was early, and I was overly hyped about Layden, and he has his high-end reps. No doubt about it. But you cannot allow a 42 pass blocking grade and 7 pressures a game and imagine that you're going to still start. It's pretty obvious that he needs a lot more time to develop, and he's being put in a bad situation. Thank God Drake May is not the one who is at the receiving end of said 7 pressures. Johnny Newton's been pretty much a non-factor this entire year. I have yet to see a legitimately good game from Johnny Newton, especially for the talent that he has. It might be true that he ended up slipping because of some potential concerns with coaching. And I'm praying that's not the case, because it's someone who I had very, very highly in terms of what I thought what he could be. I think he was a top 20 player on my board. However, 35 defensive grade with 0 production, 0 stops, 0 pressures. That to me is a big no-go, especially for being an early 2nd-round pick, someone who people thought should have been even higher. He's been a very big disappointment. Then you got Elijah Chapman. I had to include him in this just because, he was a star of the week last week, the 86 defensive grade, and he had a bunch of pressures. This week, 40 defensive grade with no production. So, it sucks to see that he can't sustain that, but I definitely want to, at least make it known that, unfortunately, it looks like it might have been a one-hit wonder, because you don't usually go from being really productive to just being not productive out of the blue. Fingers crossed that's not the case, but still worth mentioning. And then Johnny Wilson is ending off this list once again. Again, with A.J. Brown out, you end up also, I believe, not even having Devontae Smith because of a concussion. And you still do not get a single catch. This is 2 targets, 0 receptions. So, obviously, it's annoying to me because he's getting reps, and it's just he's not producing. Someone who I thought would be doing a lot better at this moment. So it's a little bit of a kicker to me. But that's gonna be the video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. See you on the far side. Peace.